When the sun goes down, that's right. It's time for Sports Hour.
The quarterback that beat the Kansas City. Oh, no, it's actually Sarah.
The flip was switched and the lights came on.
The lights were on.
Hey, Sarah, go long.
Wait, Trevor. I play football. Chauffeur!
Guys, I just want to talk about golf this year. That's all I want.
Guys, I just want the Sabres to be good this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, fans of WNYF TV, welcome to this new season premiere of Sports Hour. I'm, of course, your full-time host right now, not Kevin Syracuse, Trevor Howard, the dude with the sweet hair. We got Sarah, we got Topher, we got Brent. Guess what, guys? Football is back.
Full swing.
It
Back and
is.
full
Just like
swing.
how we're back, football is also back. A team that's sort of around, in the area is also back apparently too.
Yeah, they are.
Defeating the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams in a blowout fashion, 31-10. I mean, this game was close at halftime. That's about
was.
it.
Yes, it was.
But when you
After
really think
that-
about it, the Rams just didn't show up that second half.
They really did not.
They didn't even leave the locker room.
No, they barely left the locker room. I mean, you watch them in the second half, and you're trying to find things that, the Bills, find something the Bills did wrong, and then find something that the Rams did right in that second half. Then nothing was going their way, and their defense was not showing up, offense was not showing up, and it just didn't go well for them.
Before we get into all the stats, can we talk about Jalen Ramsey? That
He
piece of
got
burnt toast.
bodied.
Oh,
He got
yeah.
bodied.
Oh, yeah.
Being an Indy fan, watching Jalen Ramsey play in Jacksonville, I hated this guy.
Yeah.
And after all that trash talk, he was exposed by Stephon Diggs, one of the
So
best
bad.
receivers in the AFC. Can we talk about how burnt he was? 150 yards given up and 2 touchdowns, almost a perfect passer rating against him.
Wasn't it literally perfect passer rating?
I think it may
was.
have been.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about this guy? Should he talk trash ever again?
No.
This is
And
the guy that
even
said,
the better part about it is he's been roasting Allen since he's gotten drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying that he's horrible, he'll never be the player that the Buffalo Bills think he's going to be, that Buffalo thinks he's going to be, and then he goes out there and does that, and Diggs just absolutely embarrassed him so bad. I loved it. I loved every second.
and it wasn't even close.
Broke
No.
every
That last
part of his
touchdown
ankle.
he got,
Yeah.
the Diggs touchdown, he was 10 yards off of him.
Yeah.
And he's waving to him on his way to the end zone. It was
It was the greatest. I
he
love
was
the
great.
sass of Stephon Diggs.
The point and then the head tap.
Oh,
Yes.
The
my
amount
God.
of disrespect that is, as someone who played cornerback, I think I would have to quit for the game. I'd have to pull an Antonio Brown, just walk off the field. I'd be
Throw all
done.
your equipment on the side.
I'd be
Yeah,
done.
just
I'm
throw it
I'm
all
done.
off.
I'm quitting.
Oh man, I wouldn't blame you at that point.
No, but I think we can all, just by looking at the score, we can all predict who led the game in passing yards. That was Josh Allen, 297 yards. He also led rushing yards with 56. They really couldn't get the running game going, which is a little bit concerning.
Yeah.
The rookie, James Cook, lost a fumble in the game, which was rough. But Josh Allen, this dude can run the ball, throw the
Stiff
ball.
arm.
He's
Stiff
stiff arm,
The
people.
best
Like, are
thing.
you-
He's also plowing through people hopping on one leg.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's just a whole other level of athleticism. It's crazy. You watch him and you're like, he's not just a quarterback. He's just jumping over people like a ballerina. I just think of that scene from what's the movie with Rock Johnson? Blanking on it. That movie where he does
Plan,
the game plan. Yeah.
The Game
I just picture that.
I was gonna say Tooth Fairy.
Not quite the Tooth Fairy. No, game plan where he's jumping over people, and it's just so fun watching him. And I love watching this Bills team right now because they're really starting to gel on a lot of the different aspects of it. Like their O-line looks really good right now also.
How about 8 sacks on Matthew
And the
Stafford?
defense.
D-line
Von
went
Miller
off.
is here. Buffalo. Von
You know, I
Miller is
actually
here.
spoke way too soon during that game because the one play the Rams just went, like, they got the first down and Von kind of got bodied, but
Yeah.
I was like, why is he it looked like he was kind of going light at first because it was his old teammates. I was like, is he really going light right now? And then the very next play he went and sacked, and I was like,
Yeah.
all right, well, no, he's not. And then he went on and did it. How many more times? Like 3, 4?
He ended the game with 2 sacks.
Two
and, like, it was like,
sacks.
He had like 5 QB rushes and like 2 actual sacks.
And like
Also-
4 QB
Yeah,
hits.
no,
Yeah.
he was all over the field. And also, Jordan Phillips with the Bills reunion getting 3
That was
sacks.
amazing.
It's so good. Just having a complete Bills D-line is something that like none of us have really fully experienced back until like Mario Williams was like our
Super Mario.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like back when we were all like 11 years old. Like we
Oh,
have never
I remember
had
that
this,
guy.
what at least looks like this good of like a defensive line, which is insanely good because like they didn't blitz Stafford once and they got 8 sacks off of it, which is just nuts.
And also,
And 0 punts.
there it
Right,
is.
exactly.
There it is.
There it is.
I think that
We don't
nobody
need
else
to bring
is-
that up.
Oh, no. I think that a lot of people aren't really talking about are the Rams. Like, the play calling, it was terrible. They
Yeah.
didn't use Cam Akers. They were just forcing the ball to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford was throwing 5-yard passes. We have to ask, is he still injured? Like, remember that whole elbow situation
I
thing
think
in
he's
the
still dealing with it a
training
little
camp?
bit.
I wanna
It
talk
seems
about-
like-
I don't want to talk about Cam Akers, guys. He's on. I don't want.
He's on his
Anyone?
fantasy
No.
team.
I don't want to talk about Cam Akers. Just move on. Daryl Henderson just doesn't.
Okay,
need
let's
to
just
touch-
say that he
Thank
didn't get
you.
enough touches. We don't know what Sean McVay was thinking. There was another player, too, that didn't get targeted at all. They were just forcing it to Cooper Kupp. I can't even think of his name. They threw
Allen
more
Robinson.
passes to Tyler
Allen
Higbee than
Robinson.
Cooper Kupp. Like, you're not going to beat the Bills doing that. I don't
No.
care if you're at home.
Higbee's
Yeah.
good and all. But, like no, Allen Robinson needed to be in that game more.
So I think my question is A, Matt Stafford still injured, and B, are the Rams on the Super Bowl hangover type of thing? Because the Cincinnati Bengals, we'll get into them in a little bit. They
Yeah.
could be on a Super Bowl hangover as well, but
Yeah.
both of those Super Bowl contending teams, the AFC champions and the NFC, they both lost week 1. Cincy at least took it to overtime. The Rams got exposed in front of the entire world in their home house. Their own house. Home house.
Own house.
Right. Immediately after
And
that
it's
Super
so
Bowl
fun.
win.
Probably the nicest stadium in the league, if I'm going to be completely honest.
It
That's
completely
so
is.
It's
Yeah.
it's great. But the Bills, who they play next week?
The
Titans.
Monday Night
My
Football.
least
And the
favorite-
Titans just.
My least favorite team.
One of my
I
tied for
hate the
first
Titans.
least favorite.
Guys, if you can't tell, we're all kind of biased as Bills fans. So
A little bit. Maybe not this guy.
Well,
I mean,
I'm more biased
but-
than both. Any one of you. 'Cause
Well, I'm glad that
the
the-
Colts play Tennessee twice a year.
Yeah.
They're in the same
that's
division.
true. Yeah.
I hate
King
That is
Henry,
true.
JT's better. I don't want to hear any of that
agree.
garbage.
Well, good
Jonathan
thing that
Taylor's
Dable first game as HC beat the Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. That was honestly
That
good to
was
see.
awesome. to see.
G-Men, let's go. I was pulling for them the whole time. I saw they were down 13-0 early. We'll get into that game a little bit, but I think the next game we have to talk about is Atlanta choking again.
I want to go so in depth with this one, guys.
The
my
universal
God.
choking symbol is the Atlanta Falcons
Hey,
logo.
if we were doing, so let's just, this is my fun little stat. If we were doing power rankings for the first 57 minutes of a football game, Atlanta might be like a top 10 team. But then, if you go from the last 3 minutes of any football game ever, they are the worst team in the league.
It's
Yeah.
horrible.
I cannot understand. I would hate to be a Falcons fan. Like, I do not understand the pain you go through because even when the Bills were bad, they were just bad. Atlanta gives you a false sense of hope. And I think at this point, Falcons fans are like, yeah, no, it's just like they don't want to have a lead in the game. They want to come back and win.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what it's like.
They want to have a Peyton Manning style game where
It's-
they're down by
yeah.
20 at halftime and then come back and win somehow.
Yeah, like, dude.
But like Marcus Mariota was playing out of his mind. Like you said, first 57 minutes of the game, he was looking like MVP
he
candidate.
was looking like he was looking like rookie Mariota.
It was like
which
Yeah.
was like good.
Matt Ryan who at that moment, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were happy for a bit. And then Jameis Winston decided to just not throw interceptions, which is kind of his thing.
Yeah.
So, okay.
If we remember, Jameis from like 3 or 4 years ago, he threw like 33 touchahdowns and 33 interceptions.
It was
Something ridiculous like that.
Stupid. I
But
think- yeah.
they came back and won 27-26. The Saints took it. Jameis Winston only needed 270 passing yards. And
Michael Thomas
Cordell
back.
Patterson led the game in rushing yards for the for the Falcons, and Jarvis Landry got 114 receiving yards. He's going to be huge for New Orleans going forward.
Yeah.
Cleveland is dumb for getting rid of Jarvis, or just not bringing him back.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And like Michael Thomas being back on the field, getting 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
A healthy Michael Thomas.
Thanks, Mike, for my fantasy points, by the way.
Facts. A healthy Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston being smart with the football, like 23 for 34 is not bad.
No.
And not turning it over is kind of really good for the Saints.
And not to mention rallying the troops late in the game to win.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That tells you a lot about the leader Jameis Winston really
Especially
is.
when the Bucks don't look that good.
You didn't hear it from him.
No, you heard it from you heard it from me. The Bucks did not look good. Brady looked human.
Yeah, he did.
We'll move into that later though.
He's always looked human. Thank you.
How about this next game though? So the Colts defensive coordinator leaves Indy to become a head coach in Chicago. He's never won week 1 in his coaching career. He goes there with Justin Fields, an unproven sophomore quarterback. And what do you know? He wins week 1.
Yeah.
Must be nice. They beat the San Francisco 49ers 19-10. Pretty boring game, but a sweet celebration at the end. I don't know if any of you guys saw that, but it was raining in Soldier Field.
Yeah,
After
Yeah.
Fields took the knee, they did a little slip and slide thing in the end zone.
It was a
The fun.
monster.
I'm like, way to get your almost injury-prone quarterback. Totally not going to get injured there, but
Yeah.
It was like a monsoon, especially in Chicago, which according basically anyone that's ever played there and retired, Chicago has the worst field conditions in the league.
Grass
which-
field.
It's grass field. And like it's just uneven. Like for some reason, it's Soldier Field, right?
Yeah.
I think Soldier Field just has the worst conditions to be a player on. And basically, anytime
not
people like
close.
play in Soldier Field, they will get foot injuries and ankle injuries because they will just roll things or they'll just land weird. So the fact that they played a monsoon game and Justin Fields decided to slip and slide, I'd be terrified as a Bears fan, but I don't think many of them last anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
one of the Bears wide receivers, now that you mentioned that, from like 2010, was such a good receiver. I think his last name was Knox. He had a career-ending injury on that
Yes.
very field.
Because it's a bad. They need
Yeah.
to redo that field.
Yeah.
Like
That's actually atrocious.
it's
No, it's terrible.
It's so bad. 'Cause
It's
I-
right up there with FedEx Field as like horrible grass
Yeah.
fields.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. So maybe if they have a better field, they'll play a little bit better. Who knows?
I
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah,
they
at
just
the same
they
time,
just
it's
gotta
still,
build.
it's still the Chicago
Still the
Bears.
Bears.
Yeah.
Granted,
If they get a little bit more money, they would be able to get a new field. So I mean, but you know, that's just how the game works. I
Justin
guess.
Fields did not look good at all. Trey Lance led the game in passing yards with 164. It looked like a preseason game.
A little bit.
19 to
also
10.
on
It was
my
also a
fantasy
preseason score. 19 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess
Again,
who
I
else
think-
was-
There was
guess
a
who
lot
else was
of
on my
close
fantasy
scores,
team,
though.
guys.
Oh, who?
I have a 2 QB league and I have Justin Fields.
That's unfortunate.
You
I'm
never
sorry.
take an
so-
Ohio State quarterback.
I'm in so much
fantasy
pain
football.
in fantasy football. It was a 2 QB league and I'm just in so much pain.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Between your fantasy and your betting, nothing
I-
ever goes
no.
your way.
No, it's bad. Betting wasn't actually horrible this week. I'm not gonna lie. But like fantasy down the drain.
Unless you were the one guy
And
on
all
Twitter that
four-
said, if Rodrigo Blankenship hits this field goal in overtime for the Colts, I win $700. He probably had a bad day.
That's worse.
That's unfortunate.
I don't know
I'm
how much
sorry,
money he put on
Trevor.
the line there, but he had a worse day than I did. How about this one? The first overtime game that we're going to go over, week 1. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Pittsburgh took this one 23-20. In the game where the kickers, like, you have to just ask the question, what are they getting paid for? Kicking the ball and missing the uprights every time, except for Boswell hitting the game-winning 53-yard field goal with
Yeah, wasn't
literally
it
no
3?
time left on the clock,
3
right?
missed field goals?
3 missed field
Yeah.
goals.
And an extra
McPherson
point, right?
shanked one from like under 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
McPherson also missed the extra point, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That was what it was, because if they hit the extra point, they would have won. This was the game that I was like, I didn't watch this one live, but I was paying attention, and I was just seeing like Twitter just start blowing up, just my feed just go and go and go, and it was just the NFL Week 1 is just on crack. Like
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
what is going on.
I mean,
kind
this
of
is
thing.
probably the craziest week 1
It
set of
really
games I've ever
was.
seen.
Like
Yeah.
there's so many
It was a
close games,
stupid week
like
one.
throughout
So
this
many.
week.
Hey, NFL's back. We'll drink to that, right?
That's true.
No, the worst.
So,
yeah, the worst thing about this game, T.J. Watt injury.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And T. Higgins concussion too. It seemed like everyone was getting hurt. in
Hey,
that game.
like concussion's weird. Watt is out like long
I think
term,
it was
which is
6.
bad for
No,
the
he
Steelers.
tore a part of his pectoral muscle, but they said no
Yeah.
tendon damage.
Yeah, I
but
thought I read
So he
earlier
might not
it was
be out
like
for the
6
season.
weeks
Yeah,
or so.
6 to 8 weeks
Which is-
probably.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
yeah. So like from like a Bills perspective, he's probably missing the Bills Steelers game, which I am not going to be too upset about. Like I want it like a TJ Watt being in football is good for football because like should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year and he didn't. So either way,
And no disrespect, because
no,
TJ
he's
Watt's one of the
insane.
best.
Yeah.
No,
He
yeah, he's
really
amazing.
is.
I just don't want him to play the Bills. Like
Yeah.
it's just one of those
It's a
things.
fair statement.
You have to say that as a fan, but
Yeah.
we hope you're okay.
Yeah.
TJ Watt.
There it is.
Because your brother JJ was on the sideline for week 1.
Yeah.
We always see him injured, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
How about this one? I think our first real shootout of week 1
This was fun.
between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions, 38-35.
This was a fun
Philly
game to
took this
watch.
one,
It was.
and I thought Philly's defense was unstoppable, according to Eagles fans on social media. They let the Detroit Lions score 35. But one of them was a pick 6, so they let them
Yeah.
score 28. 38-35, Jalen Hurts, 243 passing yards. It seemed like every time they got the ball, any team got the ball, there were points being scored.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether it was defensive points, offensive points, field goals, mostly touchdowns.
For
But
sure. Yeah,
just
but like,
absolutely unreal.
Jalen Hurts just could not throw a passing touchdown to save his life.
No.
There was like 3 times where his receivers got like down at like the one. Like I think AJ Brown got down on the 1 yard line like twice.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Just give this man a passing touchdown because like he looked good. And he just couldn't have the stats to back it up. Like he ran the ball, which was great for like just like overall stat line. He just could not get a passing touchdown this week. So like, people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's still not a passer." No, Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, and people don't want to admit it.
Just in the red zone, he's a little iffy in the red
I
zone.
mean, he's just gonna run it
Yeah.
in, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And like Miles Sanders looks good too. In
He
the
looks
red
great,
zone,
yeah.
Which is two NFC East running backs looking like older selves, which
Right.
is
Yeah.
insane for football. So it's good.
AJ Brown had 155 yards receiving, and DeAndre Swift for the Lions. Probably one of the only bright spots of the team. 144 rushing yards. This dude's going to be a beast.
I'll give it.
Yeah.
I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is good for the Lions too.
He is,
He's
yeah.
second-year wide receiver. He still looks good. So I think they have like 2 good offensive playmakers. And like besides that though, like I think they're which is a wild sentence. I think the Lions are underrated.
Well,
Which is-
just take a look at how the Packers played this week.
Exactly.
How the Bears played. They scored 19. It's really not good enough to beat any other team in the league, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then what other team might? Oh, the Vikings. We'll get into that in a little bit. The Lions were like probably, even though they lost and the Vikings won, probably one of the best teams in the NFC North in week 1.
I think
Yeah.
I would give it to the Vikings first.
Yeah.
I would give it to the
They
Vikings.
got the win. They
Well,
obviously get first, but Lions definitely top 2.
Yeah, which is wild.
Which is
Yeah,
wild.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Bears
Not,
City,
it's
baby.
unheard
Motor
of
City,
lately.
yeah.
Bears are always going to be at the bottom of that division, but like until I watch Rodgers in another week and just make sure it's not week 1 Rodgers, it's like Colts.
Yep.
It is literally
Which we will get into, by the way.
No, if like it's not even like me being like rude about it. Rodgers in week 1 is just horrible and just
The
like
cobwebs got to come off first.
it's literally
Yeah.
what it is for him.
But yeah, 38-35, definitely a shootout in that one. How about this one? I think, even though you guys are Bills fans, you like watching the Patriots go down. Even if it's against the Miami Dolphins,
No.
they lost 20-7. And Tua's first pass intended to Tyreek Hill was so far off the mark. I probably watched that like 20 times, just dying laughing.
Wide open.
Because
Yep.
Barstool Sports captioned it, Tua is so accurate. Look at this dart, Tyreek. It's like 15 yards underthrown, should have been intercepted. Nonetheless, they still got the win. The Dolphins are 1-0. Patriots are
Yeah.
0-1. First time since when?
Yeah.
Probably a long time.
I don't
probably.
even know.
Is
It's
this like a
long
wild
time.
sentence in that I almost would have rather seen the Patriots win? Because like
Yes.
I think no because like no just hear me out because
No,
like
I'm
let's
good,
just
yeah.
be very clear. The Dolphins are not good, but they are better than the Patriots.
Yeah.
So I
They
think
are.
there is a logical sentence of just saying I wanted the Dolphins to lose because like Bills in the past have not done great guarding Tyreek. So like
Yeah.
in theory, if there's even like the tiniest bit of hope for Dolphins, like they're not going to win the division. They're never going to win the division. The Bills are too good.
Yeah. It's
But-
just Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill scares me. I'll just call it how it is.
Line him
Yeah.
up in the slot and throw a screen pass to
Yes.
him. He could be dangerous.
Tyreek Hill scares me as being a Bills fan watching him play for the Chiefs. But obviously,
Yeah.
hey,
Doing all that
Tua's
damage, man.
Tua's a more accurate quarterback than Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah,
according to
okay,
Tyreek.
buddy.
But besides the point, like I think the Bills have zero issue with the Patriots this year.
Yeah.
I think this is the first year I'm at least even like somewhat scared of the Dolphins, like even like a 10% chance.
Yeah,
So
that's
like in
valid.
theory, I think it's gonna be reverse of other years where I would always root for the Dolphins to beat the Patriots. I think this might be the year I flip it and be like, all right, I'm a Mac Jones fan for a day.
Is this going to be the year where we're actually going to like consider Bill Belichick leaving, retiring, resigning, something?
I mean, this should have been 5 years
If he
ago.
doesn't, if he doesn't
but
want, when did
You
the second Brady left? I think he
Yeah,
could've-
that was when you started.
Yeah.
He made the playoffs last year, which I think gave him the smallest amount of
And
hope.
then got
Yeah.
And they got absolutely
destroyed.
embarrassed.
yeah,
Oh.
it completely.
Who's calling the
embarrassed
plays
me.
for the Patriots?
Because
Because they don't. This
it's Matt Patricia.
Is it though?
Yeah.
But like I think it's a combination
It could
of
be
them
Bill.
all,
Yeah.
which makes it horrible. Because like if you watched any chunks of the game versus like just single plays, it looked like there was no like flow to the game at
Right.
all, and it was
Yeah.
just really confusing.
And this Patriots defense gave up 270 passing yards to Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
Says a lot.
It does. How far the Patriots have fallen.
And staying in the AFC East a little bit, the Jets lost again.
Yeah, go
Shocking,
figure.
surprise, surprise. They lost to the
Flacco.
Ravens 24-9. Joe Flacco facing against his former team got 307 passing yards. That's a little concerning for the Ravens defense, but is anyone really surprised by this outcome?
How did
Not really, no.
How did the Jets lead all three categories?
They're the Jets.
I
Like
don't
they,
know, but
they
like-
win in some aspects, the aspects that
like-
don't
like
matter.
Flacco won in passing.
Yeah,
But
aspects
the
that
overall
literally-
Yeah.
score is where they
So
kind of just fumble it
I'm
away.
just confused.
I feel like this game just does need to
the
be
Jets,
talked
they
about. Like
don't.
everyone expected the Jets to score less than 10 and the Ravens to score more than 10. And that's
Yeah.
exactly
This
what
was, like,
happened.
the one, yeah.
24-9. So we can move on from that.
Do you want to move on to this next game though? I think this one hurts you.
When's
Yeah, this
this?
one does
Okay,
hurt you.
we got the Washington Commanders led by Commander Carson against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a certain team that really just got under my skin last year in Week 18. Apparently under Carson Wentz's skin as well. Except he decides this week on a different team to win against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game that really doesn't matter regular season wise. It's only Week 1. 28-22. He almost lost that game because he threw like 2 interceptions. He's not very good still. He just beat Jacksonville. No other comment on this at all. The Commanders have a terrible stadium, that's a terrible name, and a terrible quarterback. That's all I
I'm
gotta
so
say.
used to, I'm just still getting used to them being the Commanders now.
Horrible.
I mean,
Oh my God.
I'd rather call them Washington.
I think I
Just bring
literally
back,
just straight
just
Washington.
go, just do the, you should have chosen the replacement's name. Just Washington
Just the
Sentinels.
George Washingtons.
The George Washington.
George
That's
Washington.
horrible.
That's
That
it.
would have been not great.
How about
move
this
on.
one though? Baker Mayfield returning
That's
to,
my boy.
he was hosting Cleveland. Carolina Panthers, Cleveland Browns. Mayfield's first game on another team was against his former team. And he's like, I can't wait to face against the Cleveland Browns. Well, how did that turn out, buddy?
Yeah,
how the
they-
turntables, right?
No. I could not have asked for anything better.
26-24, the Browns
Yeah.
are 1-0, probably for the first time in history. Baker
You know what's
Mayfield,
funny is
what
Baker
happened?
probably walked in there thinking that they were just gonna absolutely roll the Browns.
Because like,
Probably.
dude, like the Browns realistically, like they got 2 touchdowns. They couldn't put the ball in the end zone besides
No.
that. Like Jacoby Brissett could not move the ball. Like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt carried that team, and then the defense carried. Which is in like defense carried. Like they sacked Baker when it needed to happen. Like Myles Garrett got 2 sacks, which is just like perfection. Because
Right.
Myles Garrett has sacked almost every quarterback in this NFL besides Baker before Sunday, so that was great.
So if you guys are following along, hold on for a second. You have Carson Wentz, former Colts quarterback, wins Week 1. Nick Sirianni, former Colts offensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Week 1 win. Matt Eberflus, former defensive coordinator, now the head coach in Chicago, Week 1 win. And now you have Jacoby Brissett, former Colts quarterback, Week 1 win. The problem is not in the quarterback position Week 1. And we'll get into that right here in this game. Colts and Texans. Colts
The
Texans.
build-up, just
A
A+.
tie. 20-20 tie. So they broke the streak of 8 straight losses in Week 1. Which, fun fact, they haven't won Week 1 since 2013. Luck was 26 years old, 25 years old, something like 20. Maybe he was 24 years old. I have no idea. Terrell Pryor was the opposing quarterback for the then Oakland Raiders. That's how long ago it was. Anyways.
Wait, so Derek Carr wasn't even in the league?
No, he wasn't even an idea in the Raiders organization when that was
That's
going
wild.
on. But 20-20 tie.
way.
It could have been a lot worse. The Colts were down 20-3 against the Houston Texans. They came crawling back. They remembered how to play football with 10 minutes to go in the fourth
The
quarter.
lights were off and they turned them
The
on.
lights were off and then they turned them on, so to speak.
First one of the year.
And Matt Ryan, 352 passing yards. He looked pretty good. He threw a bad interception at Jerry Hughes, though, which could have led to points. Alec Pierce dropped a wide open touchdown in the end zone. Rodrigo, Specs, Goggles, whatever you want to call them, Legos, can't kick a game-winning field goal, unemployed. You sunk my Blankenship. Shanked a wide 40-yard field goal in overtime. 2 minutes to go. All you need is a field goal to win. This dude, who's notorious for shanking it left, doesn't even hit the backstop and shanks it right. I think a fan probably caught it in the crowd. Trash heap, by the way. He's gone. 20-20. They didn't lose.
They didn't lose.
didn't lose.
That's what you.
They
That's how
didn't
you have to
lose.
look at it.
And
Well,
guess
it's
what?
It's
Indy's
acceptable
got
that you're wearing all
Jacksonville
this.
next week in Jacksonville. Time for a little revenge. Where, fun fact, they haven't won since 2014 when Andrew Luck was in year 3. It's good stuff over here, guys.
We didn't talk about your hat either.
Oh, yeah, isn't this nice? Did you guys
You
see
have to
this?
acknowledge this hat.
I don't think I'm going to throw it because they didn't lose.
That's true. You can't
Yeah,
throw
so
it.
They're
They didn't
it's
undefeated.
lose.
acceptable that you're wearing it.
Indianapolis
Yeah.
is
They
undefeated,
didn't
ladies
lose.
and gentlemen.
Yeah.
After week 1, they're undefeated. And then Davis Mills. He looked pretty good for Houston. We got to give credit where credit is due. Now, the Colts defense didn't see, what's his name? The tight end who caught 2 touchdown passes.
O.J.
Who's
Howard.
O.J. Howard.
It
Who's
was
6
literally the
foot,
Bills.
6'4", by the way, right in the middle of the field, and the defense didn't see him, apparently. But it's okay, because we're undefeated. 0-1, and we're tied for the top of the division. That goes into our next game, which honestly makes me laugh so hard.
I love it. See, Topher was saying that he's scared of Tyreek. This might be a hot take. I'm low-key afraid of the Giants.
You're afraid
Just
of Brian
low-key.
Dable?
Brian
If
Dable.
you're
No.
and
No.
you're not
He knows-
afraid of them.
'Cause, like,
He's
there's
not
but-
afraid of him, but he
But,
knows
okay, we
everything
can't
about
admit-
the Bills.
I mean, well, that's why we have a new person who hopefully
There's a
has a
difference.
little bit of a different take on
such a
our
difference.
offense.
Tennessee's
you know?
up 13-0 in this game, and they blew it because Ryan Tannehill is not a good quarterback, and I've been telling you guys that since last year when I took over as host of this show. Brian Dable could be a good coach. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback, and he got the best out of him. So 21-20,
Wait, pause.
And then
What's the
Barkley.
best out of him? Because
tripping and falling in the end
Daniel
zone. Or
Jones
before
threw
the end zone, I
that.
think.
Daniel Jones threw a horrible red zone pick.
Oh, he did. That's just
That
what
was
Daniel
a
Jones
that
really
was
bad
bad.
pick.
We call those Danny Dimes around the
Every
NFL community.
and you know what? You know what's funny? Every single year, I end up with him as a backup quarterback because
That's-
I take everyone else. I
Well, I
always
have
end up
Joe
with
Burrow.
Daniel
How do you
Jones. I
think that
swear,
makes
the
me
last
feel?
4 years.
He did actually had horrible.
Yeah, but that's better than
He did
Daniel
have horrible.
Jones.
I mean,
for
if you
backup.
think about it, Joe Burrow threw 3 touchdowns because one of them went the other way. 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
Okay.
There you go. That's a positive spin on it.
Yep, it loses me fantasy points though. I didn't start him, thank God. I started a guy who we'll get into really, really fast. The Vikings and the Packers. You touched on this earlier. Aaron
Justin
Rodgers in Week 1 form.
Let's go. Justin Jefferson's the best player in the league, and he's winning the Offensive Player of the Year. I will say
It's
it
not
right
close
now.
right
No,
now.
it is Allen MVP, Justin Jefferson Offensive Player of the Year, and I will say that right now after Week 1. I do not care.
Vikings 23, Packers 7. The Packers couldn't even crack 10 points. I think he's missing Devontae Adams by far.
Oh yeah.
Even though he didn't win
It's still
either.
unbelievable to
The
me.
Kansas City Chiefs and Arizona Cardinals,
That
kind of a
was-
shootout,
that
a
wasn't even-
blowout.
Oh,
that
you have
wasn't
to.
even a
Okay,
game.
this is
It
just.
wasn't even
in the game.
competitive because at one point it was 38-7.
I mean, this is
Chiefs?
just one of those
Yeah.
things where you say Patrick Mahomes is still good.
My
Like,
fantasy quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay,
thank you,
yeah,
by
I
the
was
way.
gonna say, like, Patrick Mahomes is just still good
38
at football. Like, what else is there to say on this game? Like, he doesn't need Tyreek.
Tyreek.
He has
No.
Travis Kelsey. That's all he needs.
He's got
Yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
It's
He's
really
got
true.
Sky Moore. He's got
Sky Moore should have caught that.
He's
Sky
got
Moore should have more.
what's his name?
Actually,
Pringle, Byron
yeah,
Pringle.
Miko Hardman. Oh, he doesn't.
Yeah, Hardman.
Does he have Hardman's?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. I wasn't sure.
And then real quick, because we have less than 2 minutes to go, we got the Chargers and the Raiders. My pick to win the AFC West this year, the Chargers took down the Raiders 24-19. Derek Carr led the way in passing yards, 297, but just like that, the Chargers just find a way to beat the Raiders again. I mean, not
God,
much to say
no,
there.
they-
Justin Herbert's a very, very good quarterback. And he didn't look his best. He's going to get better as the
Still got
season goes on.
Still got 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
First game, yep.
And Tampa Brady and the Dallas
They
Cowboys.
didn't look good.
You think the Colts had a bad day? You think the Rams had a bad day? You think the Bengals had a bad day? Okay,
about the
Dallas
Cowboys.
scored 3
Cowboys.
points.
And
They
lost the
lost
QB.
their quarterback for like 8 weeks due to, like, what was it, a broken hand or something? Broken thumb?
Yeah, his
Someone
hand,
needs
yeah.
surgery. But Tom Brady does look human, though. When was the last time Tom Brady scored less than 20 points in a game? I could
That's a
probably count on
great
one hand how many
question.
times that happened.
That's actually such a good question.
But Tampa Bay, expect a little bit of a downfall. I think they'll still go to the playoffs, but
Oh, yeah,
just a
they'll
little
definitely
bit
go
of
to
a
playoffs,
downfall. And
but-
then we can seriously start legitimately talking about Tom Brady's retirement.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And not whatever
Hopefully.
that was. And then the final game, real quick.
Just call a timeout for this last game.
Call
just call the
timeout.
timeout.
It's just
What do you do? No, I'm actually
No,
mad
no,
about.
let's-
I'm mad about this game.
Yeah.
Seattle
let's go
beating
for it.
Denver. Geno Smith beating Russell Wilson.
Call the
Seattle
And they're
fans
home.
booing
And they're
Russell
home.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Denver wins 17-16. I don't need to say much. A
There's
64-yard
not much
field
more to
goal
say.
will
You
not
want to
cut
take
it.
this? You want to take that? You want to take that call?
Call the timeout for the love of God.
Would you kick a 65-yard field goal?
No, but you still call the timeout and go for it
Nope.
then.
You have Russell Wilson's arm at the 50.
At the 4
Yeah.
at the
and
45. At the
You have
40-yard
Javon
line.
Williams.
So,
At the
Russell
40.
Wilson.
You have that. You have an offensive guru. Call a timeout.
No,
Dear
Denver's
God.
not winning the division. It's going to be all Chargers all day.
The coach didn't
Mark
have
it.
Dreamweaver pulled up.
No,
so
he didn't have his Dreamweaver pulled up like Chihuahua, but that's all I got to say. So there's week
On
one.
that note.
On that note, we'll be right back next week with the week 2 wrap-up. So coming up, we have our good guy right here, Topher, to talk some baseball. Stay tuned.
Whoa. That's a new one.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sports Hour. It's our baseball segment. I feel like it's been way too long because when I think it was our last episode in May. Teams were at like 14-12 record. Like no big
The
deal.
Yankees.
Nothing's we can't talk about playoff implications yet.
The Yankees were the best team in the league.
Yeah, at the time. We're getting down to the nitty gritty though. I mean, we're looking at teams that have already been eliminated.
Yep.
Sorry, not sorry to the Oakland Athletics, Texas Rangers, Miami Marlins,
They're just bad.
Pittsburgh Pirates, teams like that. But teams that are just on the outside, we're at like sub 10 games to clinch right now.
Yeah.
The Dodgers were the first team to clinch in their division. I believe they're out like an absurd 15 games ahead of the San Diego Padres, I'm pretty sure. But you're looking at another pretty solid team that plays in Houston, down in the 7-1-3 in Houston, Texas, who just beat the Tigers 6-3. It's not that big of an accomplishment. They beat Detroit, but they are 9 games out from clinching their division. I think the magic number for them is 7. Other than this Houston Astros team, is there any other team in the American League that really sticks out to you that you think could be like a huge contender going into the postseason?
I mean, I'm just gonna be sad if it's not Houston and Yankees, because the Yankees literally would. The Yankees were on a record-breaking season before the All-Star break.
125 games on pace.
I don't want to talk about it, but we need to talk about it because this is one of the biggest fall-offs we've seen for half of a year out of any team in a long time. No, I don't like that it's just on me, because we all know I'm a Yankees fan right now, But dear God, Aaron Judge is going to win the MVP. That's like the only thing I got going for me right now.
It's between Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani for sure.
Look, I love Shohei. Shohei's a freak of nature. Shohei is a Giannis.
He's a 1 in a million type player, yeah.
But the fact that he pitches and bats,
yeah.
And Aaron Judge still has a better win above replacement. Aaron Judge is on pace to have the Yankees record for home runs. And he's leading the league in home runs, RBIs, and I think slugging percent. He's a freak. Like, yes, Shohei's great, but Shohei hasn't been as stellar as he was last year.
Yeah, and he plays for the Los Angeles Angels, let's be honest.
That has to matter.
But yeah, he pitches a sub-3 ERA, which is very impressive for a position player. Because technically that's what he is. He's a position player.
I don't think you can call him that anymore, though. Like last year,
he is a legitimate starting pitcher, I think.
Exactly. Like even if he never batted, he'd be a solid starting pitcher. He's making a rotation in any team in the league.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's a 2, possibly number 1 guy in some teams.
For sure.
And so no, he's not even a position player anymore.
If he went to the Texas Rangers, I think it's going to be him and Martin Perez 1-2 as a starting pitchers.
Yeah, easily.
But I mean, I want to see Yankees-Astros ALCS because that series they had in June, that back-and-forth series where Houston thought it was all over in the 9th, and then I think it was Aaron Hicks or somebody hit the game-tying homer, and then they walked it off. And then the next game was the Verlander game, and then the no-hitter, of course, and then the other Aaron Judge walk-off.
Yep.
That is what I want to see
like
in the ALCS. The Yankees just need to stick to what works.
Yeah.
And then just they cannot crawl into the postseason. That was what they did last year.
Yep.
And they lost in the wild card game. I think if they get to the wild card game, something terrible happens and the Rays take over, Garrett Cole's not the guy that you start in that do or die wild card game.
No. Literally the Yankees just have an issue staying healthy.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what it is,
their injured list is ridiculous.
They can't just get into the playoffs with a full team. No matter what they do. Started off with Stanton, then Nestor Cortez, then Benintendi needs surgery. Now there's I could go. Rizzo was hurt for like 10 games.
Then 5 relief pitchers need surgery.
Literally. We lost our closer. There's so many people on the injured list that I can't name them all, and it just gets me frustrated.
At least you guys have Marwin. He's a legend down in H-Town for all the wrong reasons. You guys have Marwin Gonzalez.
For all the wrong reasons.
A team to also look out for in the American League. How about the Seattle Mariners? From what I've heard, America's team. Are they going to
They're making the playoffs.
Clinch that spot for the first time since 2001?
I mean, I just hope to know, do they play either Tampa or Toronto, with the rest of the season?
That is an interesting question. Something that we need to look up.
Yeah, actually.
But Seattle, 79-61. They're on a 2-game winning streak. And I think they have the first wild card spot in the American League, so their spot is all but secured, I think. But Seattle's definitely a team to look out for. Tampa Bay, they have the same exact record, so they're tied for the top of the first wild card spot. 79-61. And the Rays are only 5.5 games behind the Yankees, dude. That's that's scary.
We were like 20 games above at one point. I don't understand how this always happens to the Yankees. They are always like the hottest team in baseball. They just were the hottest team for the longest time this year. You get 9 all-star players, and you just decide to throw everything away.
Well,
so I don't get it.
They could be the Minnesota Twins to lead the division for 3 months, and now we're in 3rd place.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's
with a 69-70 record, 2-8 their last 10, and Carlos Correa opting out of his contract after the season's over. It's all bad things for the Minnesota Twins. Real quick, if we look at the National League wildcard standings, you'd see that while the Dodgers already clinched, the Mets, who have been very inconsistent lately, they will go to the postseason.
What if they lose the division though? The Mets were so far ahead.
It's tough because the Mets are here. Atlanta's right here.
But dude, the Mets should have had it. The Mets should have had it a little bit. If the Yankees at least have the gap still a little bit. The Mets had enough of a gap that if they lose a division right now, it's bad.
They have no breathing room right now.
Terrifying.
No room for error. The St. Louis Cardinals, 83-58. They've really been impressing. Albert Pujols is at what, 697?
He needs 3 more. And
he needs 3 more.
He pinch hits. That's the issue. Just throw him in. Just throw him in. You're gonna win your division. It doesn't matter. You're winning this division right now. You're up by how many? You're up by 8 games. Let him in. Just let him DH.
That is a team that I think America wants to see in the National League spot for the World Series.
They have the NL,
they want to see the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't want to see the Braves again. I think that was a Cinderella story, what they did last year with Acuna out and Max Fried injured. Yeah. I think that was just insane what they did.
I don't want to see an Atlanta Braves team without Freddie Freeman in the World Series.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. Also, St. Louis just has the NL MVP. Like, Goldschmidt's just winning it, right?
He's
like
unreal.
it's a lot less questionable. Cool. Okay.
Well, that's all the time we have for the baseball segment. Topher, thanks for sticking around for 40 straight minutes. Real trooper over here. But coming up in approximately 2 minutes, we have our boy Brent to talk some NHL hockey, including the NHL preseason. So don't go away.
We're ready for you.
Pneumococcal. If you're 65 or older, like me, you're at greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia, even if you're healthy. People 65 plus are over 10 times more likely to land in the hospital for pneumococcal pneumonia than those 18 to 49. And it's important we all do what we can to stay healthy. So, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination.
Hope. Where are you hiding? I search for you in the seconds, the minutes of each and every day. Hear me as I call out to you. Take my hand. Lift me up as I lift up others. Welcome me home, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, Son, Daughter. Hear us now. Alone we stood, divided we fell. No longer. Now we choose to make the connection. Our new mission lies within. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
16 is such a significant age. I promise to help protect my eldest daughter during this exciting time in her life. Teens are at an increased risk for meningococcal disease, a rare, potentially deadly bacterial infection. But half haven't received the CDC-recommended second dose of the MenACWY vaccine at 16. I want to help change that. Take your shot against meningitis. Talk to your teen's doctor about the MenACWY vaccine and ask about MenB. Visit the16vaccine.org.
Welcome back to our third segment of Sports Hour. Look at this. The tandem is back. The hockey guys are back in the house for the first time 4 months, I want to say.
Something like that.
But
I'm not really good at math, but you know, it's somewhere in that realm.
So, hockey's starting up in less than 30 days, which is going to be...
Preseason starts this week.
Absolutely fire. Preseason starting this week. You know what that means. The stress, the heartache, the anxiety of the Buffalo Sabres will be in full effect this whole season. What do you think we can expect out of this? Well, first of all, preseason, we're going to see some really great Amerks prospects for the Sabres play and see what they're about. But going into this preseason, what do you expect? Who do you think gets the most ice time, pretty much? Like, I think J.J. Paterka sees every game.
Paterka probably sees every game.
Jack Quinn has to see full game.
Every game.
Probably the usual suspects a little bit. Like, Alex Tuck might get a couple games.
Probably near, like, towards the end. Probably with, like, 2 games to go or something. They'll start throwing in those guys. OP will probably get thrown in there.
Yeah.
At, like, the last game.
To see, though. Goaltending.
Yeah, it will be.
Who are we going to see in net? UPL, I don't even know if he is on the face of the planet anymore. I don't know if he went back to Finland or whatever it was. But, I mean, I want to see some Eric Portillo action. There's no NCAA hockey going on right now. Just lace up a game with the Sabres and see what's up.
I think, if anything, it would be Levi.
Devin Levi, yeah.
I
Definitely him more than Portillo.
Because I think Portillo already said that he's going back to play in another year at Michigan.
Talk about a Dreamweaver moment right there.
Yeah, talking about an absolute
toy bot robo boogie moment right there.
Don't want to come play for the Saves with your teammate Owen Power? Like, are you kidding me?
I mean, look at what OP's doing.
That's what I'm
He's
saying.
gonna, and then when the Sabres go to the playoffs this year, which I don't know.
Playoffs is like,
we're not gonna let you on the roster, on the playoff roster. You weren't here from the start. We're not gonna let you in the playoffs, but. If the Sabres can we said this at the end, or the end of season, or last season, if the Sabres have a solid month of October, carry that into December, because they were horrible in November, December, January. They were okay in October. They started off, 3-0, I think, last year?
They started
They
off
just fell
right,
off.
and then right towards the end of December, or October, they lost like 2, and then we went into November and won our first, I think, it might have only been like 1 game.
They went on that Western road trip and lost to
Then they went
Seattle.
on the Western road trip, yep, and then I don't know if we even won a game on that road trip, to be honest. But then we traded Eichel, and everything just turned around.
An old friend, by the name of Jack Eichel, came back to the city on sometime in March. We were there for that in a suite. Dr. Min, big shout out to that homie over there.
Shout out Doc Min.
Shout out Dr. Min. Jack Eichel comes back to the KeyBank Center, and that was where I think our season really just took a 180 turn. If we faced against Eichel and we did that in January, we're talking about a possible wild card spot. That was the game that sparked everything. Beating Vegas and then having Alex Tuck take the puck away from Eichel to score that empty net goal. We went on like some bizarre, we won, 8 out of our last 11 games after that. And then we carried that into April where we won on the RJ night, then overtime with Casey Middlestat. I think what the Sabres need to do going into this year is they need to look at their schedule in November and December and really look at that and say, these are the games that we need to focus on. They figured out March, they were horrendous in March until this season. They figured that out, so they should be able to figure out November and December. Those were the months where they really just kind of dropped off.
I mean, all
which
we
is
can do is
ironic
hope.
because
Yeah,
the
it
year
is.
where we won, we went on that 10-game streak. That was all throughout late November, early December. And now ever since then, ever since Halsey got fired and Kruger got fired, it's just been awful hockey played in those months.
And right in the start of winter, for some reason, we just can't win a game. We just can't do it. I don't know what it is.
And bringing back Riley Sheehan is really going to get you guys back into playoff contention, isn't it? Right? Good job, guys. Good job, Sabres.
But no, I think this year.
Well, we don't have it as bad as a certain team that plays in an abandoned factory in Arizona. That only sits 3,000 seats. In the Coyotes. Quebec fans are punching the air right now. Hartford fans are punching the air. Golden State Seal, or California Golden Seal fans are punching the air right now, looking at the fact that
I heard that there was,
the Arizona Coyotes still have a team.
They do have a team, somehow, some way. Don't know how. But I think I heard something come out last week that if they don't figure it out and get into a real arena next year, they might not even, this might be the last year we see a Coyotes team in the NHL.
Good, because they play over there in Dreamweaver Center or wherever it's called in the abandoned factory.
Yeah, they're just trying to look at, film and stuff, but coach just throws on pictures of abandoned factories and is like, look at our arena. They can't even keep it clean.
Thank you for keeping it clean.
They can't even do that. And then they got the Stripes in the background, just not even making calls. They don't care about the Coyotes. Nobody does.
They just the league just sends them a Google Drive or something in the Google Drive, and then they just kind of just do it,
Yeah, they just wing it. That's basically what they're doing right now.
They just wing it. But we didn't have the show over the summer, obviously. But over the summer is usually when the draft happens, and usually when they make some big trades. How about Tkachuk going to the Panthers for Jonathan Huberdeau?
I can't even. I don't. Florida, why? Why do you need him? I don't understand. You have Giroux, you have Reinhart, you have who's the one defenseman? I'm forgetting names, but they have a stacked team already. Ekblad, there it is. They stacked their team last year, and now they added. I mean, granted, they got rid of Huberdeau, which is kind of huge because that's
huge cap money released off their books.
Yeah, that's a lot of money available, and he was one of their key players, easily top 3. And now, how is Calgary going to look?
I heard that they're in win now mode, according to Paul Bissonnette, a.k.a. Paul Missed the Net from Spittin' Chicklets. He said that the Calgary Flames are in win now mode. I'm just like, how can you say that? They got rid of one of their best goal scorers, and didn't they replace him with Kadri? Nazem Kadri's in Calgary, isn't he?
I think he is, yeah.
So that's pretty good. They might truly be in win mode.
Kadri, they still got Gaudreau, and now they have Huberdeau.
And the Sabres bring back Riley Sheehan. That'll get you back in the playoffs. Sabres get Dreamweaver in a trade in exchange for Robo.
You know what is going to be weird, though? Seeing Brent Burns in a Carolina Hurricanes jersey. I can't even fathom that.
No.
My whole life, I've been seeing this dude in a San Jose Sharks uniform.
And Minnesota Wild way back in the day.
Wild, but Man, seeing him on Hurricanes, that's also kind of iffy too, because the Hurricanes are always a playoff contender team, and now they added Brent Burns, one of the top defensemen in the whole league, and
our division's only getting better.
That's what's tough for the Sabres, is because we're trying to fully not, or have a full round good team and not end up in last and finish not last in the division, not even the league, just the division.
Eric Comrie, 978 save percentage. Book it right now. At least it's better than our 41-year-old goaltender is a backup. So,
hey, I'm glad he's with us for us. We need that vet. We do. We need the vet on the squad.
We need a goalie
and a goalie in general.
With that said, thanks for coming on. Topher, guess what? He's coming back, guys, to talk some NBA basketball. So stay tuned.
You guys missed him.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office, all you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service, it takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you gotta register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service. We've been down there. Post office. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For Selective Service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For Selective Service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you gotta register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
Our final segment of the night, talking a little bit of NBA basketball, some off-season moves, and obviously recapping the finals that we missed over the summer. I think this was one of the best NBA finals that we've ever witnessed, or at least in the last 10 years. This is a Golden State Warrior team that the higher-ups didn't have to buy, essentially, the championship. Like, you remember when did it really start? 14, 15, 16, 17, all the way up there? It really felt like it was one of those teams where they wanted to get that super team effect, and they wanted to buy championships. This team, I was actually somewhat pulling for a little bit.
No, for sure.
But because I felt like they earned it the right way. They didn't overspend. They didn't go over the cap. They didn't do any of this. They didn't essentially buy a title.
Yeah, to be fair, I think both teams were very much built from their ground up kind of thing, built from their stars. Obviously, it's different kind of stars, because Curry, Thompson, Draymond have been there for a while. They've done this before. And you have the Celtics, who are Jason Tatum,
of course,
Smart, Jaylen Brown, guys that younger, haven't been here before kind of thing. So realistically, I think it was interesting either way you really get down to it, because Jason Tatum is a freak of nature. Jason Tatum's a great basketball player. Obviously, Steph are, Clay are, but a lot for the non in-depth basketball fans, a lot of those Celtics were not really well known.
Oh, they're extremely underrated.
Yeah, Jason. Because think of the guys they took down. They had to take down the Nets.
Yep.
Who else did they have to beat? They beat the Nets. They beat who was it in the finals?
Oh, the conference final. I don't even remember.
Heat.
The Miami Heat.
Yeah, they had to beat two good teams that were like favorites to get into it. So that's kind of interesting.
It seems like Boston since 2008 has been all good until they reach the finals.
Correct.
In the bubble season in 2020, they lost to the Lakers in the championship round, and that definitely stung for them. This one has to sting even worse. I mean, this is in front of fans. This is the second time in the last 3 years they've been to the finals, and the second time in 3 years where they've come up short to the better team in the West.
For sure.
But I think with that said, though, after the finals are over is when you get into the trade deadline, free agency, and the draft. Let's go over some of these offseason moves. Why don't you start off with the one that really surprised you the most, and I'll get into mine.
Bro, it must suck being a Knicks fan and not getting Donovan Mitchell, bro. It's gotta be hard to be a Knicks fan. So like, I don't really truthfully have a favorite team in the NBA. I like the Cavs because like I've seen the Cavs play. I liked like young LeBron Cavs. I didn't like comeback LeBron Cavs.
Yeah.
Because I just not a huge LeBron fan. Cavaliers getting Donovan Mitchell is really cool. Like, that's a crazy thing. Because now that means you have Donovan Mitchell and you have Darius Garland and you have two of the craziest athletic guards in the entire league. Granted, they gave up a decent amount. Like, the three players they gave up, being Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and OG Anunoby, are, like, good guys. Sexton was hurt, so he's kind of eh. Those other two guys are, like, good role players, and then they gave up 3 first-round picks, which is, for Donovan Mitchell, like, it sounds a lot, but it's really not a lot, because Donovan Mitchell is just so good at basketball.
Yeah, he's great, but, I mean, if you look at this from a Utah perspective, like, he was the guy that was like carrying the team. So this could potentially be a big loss for the Utah Jazz here. I mean, you can get 3 consecutive first-round picks, but that's 3 years of development. You're trying to win the championship now. How does trading away Donovan Mitchell help you do that?
I think they eventually Utah came to the point where they realized they're like, we just can't compete anymore. Like, these super teams are not winning, so they shipped off Gobert first of all, and like that was kind of like, what is happening? They shipped Gobert off to Minnesota,
right? So
it's like you got Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, which is like cool, and Anthony Edwards. So like that team's like sleeper good, I think now. But then as soon as this happened, people thought Donovan Mitchell was going somewhere. They just didn't show where. So them officially sending him off to the Cavs
and
is
not
crazy.
New York?
Correct, dude. It sucks being a Knicks fan, and it's so funny because I don't like the Knicks. I don't like the Lakers, and I didn't like KD Warriors.
Yeah.
It's like those are my 3 teams I didn't like.
I like KD Thunder. That was one of my
KD Thunder was cool.
teams.
So like I think if I had to pick a favorite NBA team, it'd be Portland. So my life kind of sucks. So like let's just call it how it is.
But you mentioned that you don't like the Lakers.
Correct.
The question I had going into the postseason was, are the Lakers dead? Is this team dead? Or will they be revived in the next 3 to 4 years? They did get Patrick Beverley in a trade from the Utah Jazz, and I believe it was in exchange for Stanley Johnson and maybe another player. And Horton Tucker. But is this just a desperation move for the Lakers here?
I think it is. I almost think it's just to try to get. I don't know what the Lakers are doing anymore because they have Russ, and Russ is a shell of his former self. People think Russ is good, and he's just not anymore. And
he was good.
He was. Russell Wilson at one point was an MVP. He was the best player.
Westbrook.
Yes, yep. Russell Westbrook was the best player in the league for 1 year, and he was insane. But like he is an absolute shell of his former self. So like I don't know what they're doing. If you look at the 2K rankings, it's really funny because Patrick Beverley has a higher ranking than Russell Westbrook, which just doesn't make sense because the Lakers need shooters. So what do? Go out and trade for a defensive player who can't shoot a 3-ball to save his life. I don't know what that organization is doing, and truthfully, I don't care because I don't like them.
Yep, and I think the writing was on the wall for a guy like Westbrook. He was passed around. Where did he go? He started off in Oklahoma City, went to Houston, played for the Rockets for a while. Where did he go after that? He went somewhere else. He went to the Wizards.
He went to Washington.
He went to Washington.
Like what?
Because things were getting so bad for him. He went to the Wizards.
I don't know what's happening.
And then now he's on the Lakers, and they're missing the playoffs every single year. I think the writing is on the wall. Hey, maybe this isn't your guy.
No.
Like with that team on paper, the Lakers have zero excuse to miss the 6th seed, 5th seed.
Yeah, no, they should not have
Of the
missed the
playoffs.
playoffs. They had no reason to miss the playoffs with Anthony Davis. Like they were.
Were they
hurt.
finished 10th in the Western
Yeah,
Conference?
they weren't even like border. Like they were 2 spots out, which was bad. And I think there's like, realistically, like people were saying it's like a crazy offseason. There was like 3 big moves because like people thought it was gonna blow up when Kevin Durant got traded, and guess what? Kevin Durant didn't get traded. Kyrie didn't get traded. So like the only other like big move is DeJounte Murray going to the Hawks because that's really cool because now it's another one of those like goated tandem like guard being Trae Young and DeJounte Murray.
Hawks are in win now mode.
They 100%, they have to be because they have basically, and then this was the giveaway that like Spurs are kind of just like giving it. They're basically pulling the Utah. They're like, we're just gonna throw it away. It's fine.
They might just take the year off, rebuild a little bit,
Yeah.
and then come back in the next 2 to 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But Topher, dude, you're a trooper tonight. Thank you for coming on for 3 segments.
God, it was
One
too
that
much.
lasted a half hour. But that's going to wrap up our first episode of the new season. We will see you same time, same place, right here. Hendricks Hall, WNYF TV. Subscribe to us. Like and comment as well. This has been Sports Hour. We'll see you next week.